Welcome to Xlibris On Air and the stories behind the stories of today's literature and their authors. A presentation of Xlibris Publishing. Host Steve Jorgensen connects with the writer to share the vision and inspiration behind their works. Insightful, informative, and always entertaining, please welcome host Steve Jorgensen and this week's edition of Xlibris On Air.
Greetings for Xlibris On Air. This is J. Douglas Barker. An important title, I think, for anyone that wants to be successful financially. The title is An Average Joe's Pursuit for Financial Freedom. Changed Perception of Money. And our author who joins me from the Houston area in Texas is Michael Warren Munsey. Welcome, sir, to the program.
Thank you, Jay.
This is a complex topic. How did you approach it, and why did you decide to write this particular book?
Well, I decided to write it because I have two young boys, and we moved away from our family, and I want them to understand some of the decisions on why I moved away from my family. I grew up in Illinois, and I moved down to Texas to earn a living, and I've had a little bit of success, and I want them to understand some of the decision points that I've made, some of the background, and I want them to understand my way of thinking, and the best way to communicate that is through a book.
What is your current position in addition to being an author?
Well, I work in the oil industry, and I am in the process of starting up a new oil company. I participated in a company that just monetized, so I'm in the process of starting up a new company. I
guess the question I had, and the reason I asked that question, was how you became proficient at understanding financial complexities.
Well, I obtained my MBA from Rice University in 2007, and I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And at that time, my company was in the process of going through a restructuring. And anytime a company goes through restructuring, the question comes up, are you going to get laid off? And at the time, the book was talking about what true wealth is and living without a paycheck, and how long. And then I got to thinking, how long can I make it without a paycheck? And the answer was not very long without going bankrupt. So I didn't want to put myself in a position to where I was dependent upon a paycheck, and that I could live without dropping my standard of living without a paycheck. And that, over the last 4, 5, 6 years, that's been my main focus, is generating income without physically working.
The typical job. That's why you say An Average Joe's Pursuit for Financial Freedom. You have also subtitled that Changed Perception of Money. Now, what is your changed perception of money?
Well, I was taught to go to school, work hard, go to work for a good, stable company, and become a high-paid employee. And you know, invest in your 401k, you know, the traditional type way of going through a career. And it wasn't until I got my MBA and I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad that I realized that that's probably not the way I want to think about getting to retirement, and that's something that I don't want to teach my children. I want to teach them a different way from what the norm is in terms of being successful. And climbing the corporate ladder at one time was my definition of success, and that's not necessarily my definition for success. It's being able to live at the standard of living that I choose to live for my family without working for a paycheck. That's my definition of success.
Would you describe your book as an investor's guide, or would you describe it as a lifestyle change?
You know, I hate to say that it's a lifestyle change, because I don't think anybody should lower their standard of living in order to be financially free. I think everybody should live at the standard of living that they desire. Everyone should search for ways to generate income to where they can live comfortably. If you have to pinch pennies and live at a lower standard of living than what you really want, you're really not going to be happy.
True.
So I stress for people to search for ways to increase your income, know what value you bring to your current employer, and make sure that you are being adequately compensated for the value that you bring for your company.
As a non-traditional thinker, if I'm in a career and want to earn outside money or outside income or investments, what is your advice there? How do I get started?
Well, I don't recommend any specific thing to any of my readers because everybody has to find the niche or the thing that works best for them. There are tons of different ways of increasing your passive income. One, you can start out by purchasing rental property and rent it to people. You could find maybe a vending machine. You can write a book that will generate passive income. There are tremendous ways to create additional income outside of the traditional 401k.
You have covered some of the basics, like the importance of setting goals, creating passive income, building a team. A team would, I guess, give me the opinion of maybe an investment counselor or perhaps a real estate team. Are those on your list of team members that you should consider?
Yes, the team that I refer to is more of a real estate team, a team that goes out and you got to have a good realtor on your team. You have to have a good mortgage broker on your team. You have to have an inspector that goes and inspects all your houses that you can trust. You have to have people that can come in and clean the carpet for you after you purchase a property. You have to have painters and all kinds of different aspects to where that you don't necessarily want another job. You want passive income to where you don't have to work. So you have to build a team around you with people that you trust that will do a good job for you to where you're not creating another job for yourself. A lot of people are concerned about rental properties because they don't want another job. They don't want to have to fix toilets for a living.
Mm-hmm.
I have part of my team is a property manager. And they take care of all the issues with the tenant. They set up maintenance, all that type of stuff. And that's all included in the cost of renting the property.
So your focus has been to the real estate side rather than investing in the stock market and other traditional methods of increasing your wealth.
Well, it has been up until this point right now in the Houston housing market. The housing market is booming, and it's difficult to purchase a house that I'm able to create enough cash flow to make it worth my while because of the housing market is so high right now here in Houston.
Yes.
So I'm looking at other avenues, maybe starting a business of some sort, and I'm going through that thought process right now. So I'm changing my method a little bit right now, swinging from real estate to putting my money into a business and building a business.
Your book is actually more biographical than it is advice-giving, isn't it?
Well, yes. I think the best way to communicate or relate to people is by telling people about your own struggles and letting everybody know that it's not an easy process, and we all have weaknesses, and we all have things that we have to work through. It's not an easy journey to become financially free.
Have you also found some networking opportunities that have helped you keep you motivated as you are pursuing your financial freedom? Or do you think that's of value?
Well, I think networking is very important in any business that you do. The more networking that you do, the better context, the more opportunities that you're going to find.
Michael, as you began writing your book, who was your target audience? Who did you think would benefit most from reading your book?
The target market is primarily young adults because they're the ones that are still developing their thought processes. But it's good for anybody trying to get to retirement. Even though there's a lot of simple concepts within the book, it's always to have good reminders, good refreshers, just in case maybe somebody is getting off track. It's always good to have a fresh perspective.
And how long did it take you to complete this, Michael?
It took me about 4 months to complete it, or write it, and then probably another 5 months to get it published. The book is a very short book. It's just over 100 pages. I tried to keep it short and packed with a lot of content because everybody's life is busy, and we don't have time to sit down and read a 300 or 400 page book.
Right.
I try to keep all my chapters real short and to the point, to where somebody with a family and a workload can sit down for 15 minutes, get through a chapter, and go on with their life. And hopefully the book will relate to them in one way or form. Describe
for my listeners, in a short overview, how you would describe an average Joe's pursuit for financial freedom, the book.
Well, I think that everybody should be looking for ways to generate passive income. And you don't have to put back a whole lot of money. You don't have to have a whole lot of money to start investing. You start out slow with something that you can work within your budget. Start out with a percentage, 5%, 10%, and stick to it. As you gain experience and you make more money with experience or through your job, you can increase that percentage with time. And if you start young and work your way up, you'll be surprised how fast it accumulates.
Were there challenges, Michael, in getting all of these concepts into a book form that was readable?
The biggest challenge was to make sure that everything flowed in a methodical way. I have a whole lot of ideas and stuff bouncing around in my head, and I just wanted the book to flow good and make sure that people could understand some of the high points or important points of getting to retirement so they don't have to lower their standard of living or work for a paycheck.
Complex issue covered in an important book for those who are looking for a way to reach financial freedom. An Average Joe's Pursuit for Financial Freedom. Changed Perception of Money. Our author, Michael Warren Munsey. Michael, where can my listeners get copies of your book?
The book can be found on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. I have a website, FreeAverageJoe.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at FreeAverageJoe. And I am very active with my Twitter followers.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing the background story into this particular book, An Average Joe's Pursuit for Financial Freedom, Changed Perception of Money. Michael Warren Munsey has been my guest. Thank you, Michael, for joining me today.
Thank you, and I appreciate the time.
For Xlibris On Air, this is J. Douglas Barker.
Join Steve Jorgensen next week at the same time as he explores the passion and the inspiration behind the works of today's authors. Right here on Xlibris On Air.